here today to talk about a 2-volume album of photographs of Cyprus that was published in 1878 in London. The photographs, 61 of them, are taken by John Thomson, an important Scottish photographer who had made a career and a reputation out of travelling around the 19th century world. Initially he moved to Singapore and then travelled to China and to Cambodia, where he made a series of important albums for the Victorian middle-class clientele. The album that we're talking about today, of Cyprus, was towards the end of his travels, by which time he had returned to London, married and settled down with his new family. At this particular time, Cyprus had become a protectorate of the British Empire. And this was part of the kind of shifts in power relationships between the Ottoman Empire, the British, and other European powers that were taking part at the time. This album, therefore, in many ways presents different messages to a British public. On the one hand, it suggests something of the decline of the island under the Ottoman Empire, suggesting, as a sort of corollary to that the British Empire could perhaps do a better job. The photographs also communicate something of the ethnographic interests that the British public were most interested in at the time. For instance, the photograph we have in front of us at the moment, a Cyprian maid, a 3/4 length portrait of a young Cyprian woman, presents many of the kind of codes of Victorian motherhood and womanhood which were expected at the time. The concentration on the garments, on the necklace, on the various jewellery around her neck, suggested to Victorian viewers a kind of quintessential womanhood. This is also typical of Thomson's portrayal of women around the world. The way in which she looks off camera, looks slightly downward, suggests, as it were, a kind of demure womanhood. And for the British Empire, this coding of non-European women suggested the position of a kind of empire that could look after other cultures coded as feminine. The technology of these photographs is also state-of-the-art for the 1870s. These are known as Woodbury types, which was an expensive but nonetheless very early important form of photomechanical reproduction. These photographs, therefore, are not stuck into the page, but are in fact part of the actual paper. They were not, therefore, for any particular consumer. They were expensive products and would take pride of place within the kind of middle and upper class clientele library. In later years, in the 1890s, John Thomson would in fact become the official photographer to the Royal Geographical Society. His experiences, therefore, over many decades helped train a new generation of travellers and adventurers for whom the ability to take a camera with them was essential to their experiences and indeed missions as an actual explorer. St Andrew's Special Collections is particularly fortunate to have various albums and materials by this important 19th century Scottish photographer. Alongside this particular album of Cyprus, there's the 4-volume Illustrations of China and Its People, published between 1873 and 74, as well as the very rare 1867 album of his travels in Cambodia. Alongside his various travel accounts and published diaries, this collection of St Andrews is an important archive that represents a good cross-section of this key photographer. One of our major hopes is that these materials, both for John Thomson and indeed for many other important travel photographers, become better known, and that scholars both internationally and within the UK will come and take advantage of these important archives and material.